Hey, Salvador Brinkman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And today we're talking about applying a crowdfunding technique, which is a pre-launch. How do you apply that to a traditional e-commerce brand or store launch? How do you launch your brand or your store to the world for people to purchase all over the planet? That is what we are covering today. Okay, so what is the usual way that most e-commerce store entrepreneurs, or they have a Shopify, a WooCommerce store, Magento, that you release this to the public? Well, usually you just kind of hit publish on your website, right? And it just goes live, and then you're like, okay, how the heck do I promote this thing? How do I get the word out there about my product? And you might do things like Facebook ads. You might go with influencer marketing and try to get some Instagrammers to post your product photos, right? You might try to drum up some activity and kind of market your site in the way that other people have taught. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be a slow climb, building sales to your website, and literally every single day trying to get the word out there about it. And you're also gonna be put in a bit of a different camp. Your customers are gonna see you as an e-commerce store. They're gonna see you as someone trying to sell them on a business, right? And we know that whenever there's that feeling of like you versus them, or they're buying from you, and that's really the only transaction that's happening, it tends to not be as good of a brand in that way when it comes to e-commerce. The better e-commerce brands are the ones where people feel like there's almost an emotional connection with the customers. If you want to think about like Supreme, or you want to think about Apple, right? What is the way that those brands create an emotional value when it comes to their customers, where they're literally lined out the door waiting to buy a new pair of sneakers, waiting to buy the next Apple product? That's the kind of effect that you want to have. And when it comes to products like that are launched on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding sites like that, we already see that effect, right? We already see people piling in and getting funded really quickly. What if you could use the same techniques that work well on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but instead apply them to the launch of an e-commerce store? And that's kind of what I want to get into in today's YouTube video, how to actually go about doing that from a high level strategic standpoint, as well as some of the nitty gritty behind that. Okay, so this is basically my area of expertise. I've written a couple of books here behind me. One of the ones, Kickstarter Launch Formula. This book goes in depth into actually how to pull this off for the Kickstarter platform specifically, right? And there's a whole bunch of reasons, because you're launching into a marketplace, the same way that Amazon is a marketplace, you can launch into it that way. But that being said, you can also do this on your own e-commerce store and create a launch event around your store. So how do you announce this to the world so you have a rush of sales on your first day and get viral activity, you get people talking about it? That's really what's important, in my opinion, when it comes to creating a launch event, is that level of excitement, that level of feeling like this is more than just a regular brand that's launching. This is really something that's special. That it creates an emotional connection with the customer. You're able to tell stories that move people emotionally. That's what I want to get into a little bit today. The first thing that you're going to want to do is to change your perspective, right? So rather than thinking, I'm just gonna go live with my site and that's the launch event, that is not the launch event. What you need to do is you need to have a pre-launch. So a pre-launch is designed to coalesce activity so that you can actually do something with it. So for example, let's just say a pre-launch in terms of building up your social media profiles, in terms of building up your email list, in terms of getting people into a social media group of some kind, maybe even having a Telegram group, having people follow you on Instagram, right? That's what a pre-launch is that you're going to build up activity before you announce that the product is available to buy. Now, going into kind of like not so great examples, but also kind of great examples, think about the Fyre Festival. The Fyre Festival was a festival that was happening, right? And this was a couple of years ago, where a launch event was happening. This new festival was coming up, and models were posting Instagram photos, and people were talking about it, and it was creating a tremendous amount of chatter, and they're talking about Southwest about this, right? And it was creating this huge amount of discussion around the festival. Could you actually buy and purchase tickets yet? No. But once the tickets went live, they sold out like that. That is a launch event. You're manufacturing and compressing social media activity as well as excitement, hyping things up so that when you do go live, you then instantly sell out. The bread and butter of a pre-launch is to make sure that you have the contact information of the people that are interested in this store eventually launching and becoming available to purchase things. So contact information in the way of an email list would be number one. Number two, you have people that are following you and you're developing different communication channels. So following you on Instagram, following you on Twitter, maybe following you on YouTube, following you on your Facebook page. There are a bunch of different channels, maybe Pinterest if you have a product that's gonna fit well with that. You also wanna build up your social media following before you announce that the store is available to buy from. And now it's kind of like that feeling like something is coming, something cool is coming about. And you maybe have a sense of what that is and you get into a high level, but you still haven't released the full details behind that. And maybe you're teasing just the best products that you're going to be selling on that store. Because obviously if a store, you might have inventory of a couple of different SKUs or SKUs of the product, right? And a couple of different ones, maybe if it's a fashion brand, maybe you have dresses and you also have, I don't know what other stuff that girls wear, like pants, right? They have like shoes, they have other stuff. So you might have some different product categories on your store, but you're gonna just pick a couple of them which will showcase the overall ethos, the design, and kind of what you're gonna get into later on with the full-fledged e-commerce store. Think of it a little bit like Fashion Nova, right? Fashion Nova sells lots of different types of dresses for girls, lots of different types of outerwear and like indoor wear, etc. They can just pick a couple of ones that would then showcase their brand and the kind of look and feel and who it's really for. People can get a sense of that, sign up for an email list, and then when the store opens, actually go there, they can funnel all of that activity in and they can buy it, and their sales are gonna shoot up, right, during that launch event. In the same way that within the physical world, you have a lot of people lining up, waiting to get into this new store, then they go in, and then the sales skyrocket in that physical store. Same thing happens, but you're creating that online instead. As you're building up this sense of anticipation, like something is coming. And remember, you have your marketing channels, you have contact info of these people, and you're building your tribe, you're coalescing your community. You're then starting to what I call lay breadcrumbs. So you're maybe posting a little bit of teaser content, some teaser products, talking a little bit about what it's made of or how it's made. You know, if you ever go back and look at the old school Apple commercials, you'll see them talking about the design and the make of the aluminum of the product and like how it works and the manufacturing and all that stuff. That's meant to get you excited and to get you eager, wanting to buy it. So you're laying breadcrumbs is what I call it as you're going throughout the launch. And how long might that launch be? That might be a month-long launch, right? And you're laying breadcrumbs as you're going out there when it comes to that launch. It could even, if you want to, be a little bit longer, honestly. You know, 2 months would be fine. But you're laying these little bits of content, you're posting that in your community, posting that on Instagram, posting that, you're sending that via email, and you're getting people like, when are you coming out with this thing? Tell me when you're coming out. What's the price gonna be? And it's almost this feeling like, I just wanna buy it, like let me know where I can buy. And what's that doing is, it's raising the emotional barometer of those people who are following you to the very point where you're not going to the point of frustration, right? Because there's a point in time where if you raise it too much, they then become frustrated and like, oh, this is stupid. I'm not even gonna pay attention anymore, right? Because they can't buy and they get frustrated. You're really skating the line between frustration and I am so ready, take my money, you know, I wanna buy this immediately. And when you get to that middle kind of, I guess, fulcrum or that little middle part, that's like your sweet spot, because the second then you open the store, finally people can rush in and they can start to buy things, and it's almost like this flurry of activity. It's very similar to Black Friday. If you've ever seen with Black Friday, people going mad and crazy in the United States, wanting to go to Walmart and buy stuff for all the great deals, because there's this window of opportunity where there's going to be a discount, right? And everyone wants to get access to that. So another cool thing about having this launch framework, right, that I call it, is you can actually have a window of opportunity as well digitally. So you can say, we're having an opening store sale, right? This maybe a day or two before you actually go live with the store, we're going to be giving you a ridiculous discount. It's so exciting. You're getting access to this. Just put this on your calendar. Let yourself know when we're going to be going live. Make sure you check out before supplies sell out, right? Before inventory sells out. And then you're going to announce that, and then people can redeem whatever code that they have to be able to then purchase right then and there on your website. The best deal, flurry of activity. People are excited. They're waiting to get the product then. They're going to be getting it very soon. And then they can start sharing and posting online. I'm so lucky. I finally got this product in my hands. Like, look how cool this is. Now, I'll tell you a tiny bit of a secret. And I do talk about this in my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula. I also talk about it in my other book, Equity Crowdfunding Explained, right? So one of the things that people don't realize is that when you make someone wait for something and they are still there, like waiting and excited and ready and hungry, they value that thing more, right? And it's kind of a weird phenomenon. But if you notice it with Kickstarter or Indiegogo, if someone buys a product on Kickstarter, they don't get it for 3 months, right? They maybe don't even get it for 6 months. But usually on average, say 2 to 4 months is like average delivery time. They're not gonna get it for a long time. And yet with Amazon, they're frustrated when they don't get their product in 2 days. They're angry, they're calling customer service when they don't get it in 4 or 5 days, right? And it's feeling like a feeling of injustice. I bought this, I deserve it right now. Why is it that they're willing to wait 3 months for a product on Kickstarter? Think about that dichotomy. Think about that difference. And when they actually do get it in the mail, they're like, I am so ridiculously excited for this. This is insane. This is so cool, right? Now, it's so funny to me because I've seen it happen so many times, right? And people don't realize this, but the more that they wait, and the more invested they are in the process, I'm not talking about those people who just want to buy it and leave and don't care, right? I'm talking about people that are actually invested in the community, the values, the process. The more they feel like they're a part of the community, the more they feel like they actually are waiting for something really cool in the mail when it finally gets delivered to them, and the more they want to show it off on social media. And this is what I call kind of like curating or almost like growing evangelist customers for your brand. You're not going to get an evangelist customer just who buys it quickly, uses it, and doesn't care, right? You're going to get an evangelist for someone who's really emotionally invested in your story, in what it is you're doing, your values, your ethos. They do get the product, it works really well, they love it, they want to show it off to all their neighbors, right? That is an evangelist customer. And the cool thing is that using this formula, which I have uncovered in the Kickstarter Launch Formula and as well in many of my other YouTube videos and also my podcast, you can manufacture that exact same effect. And it's so cool, man. It is so cool. So you don't have to take my word for this. You can try this yourself, or you can book me for a coaching call. I can tell you how this can apply for your business, right? But rather than just announcing your new online store and being like, okay guys, now you gotta go check it out. Okay guys, go buy, right? And trying to do this uphill battle, like of pushing a boulder uphill and trying continually to driving traffic and wasting money and getting frustrated and be like, maybe this was a bad idea, right? Rather than having a very slow linear progression with your business, instead, if you do what I tell you in terms of the pre-launch, in terms of the Kickstarter launch formula, and apply that to e-commerce, you can actually make it so that while yes, you have to put in maybe a month or 2 of work ahead of time for that launch event, you're gonna then skyrocket really quickly, right? And it's almost like you then have, you've almost compressed the amount of time it takes for you to get on the noteworthy map in terms of your social media followers, product validation, customers buying it, testimonials. You're compressing it all into one very short, narrow window, and that's why we call it a launch event. And that's why there's this almost like otherworldly emotional response, I would say, when you actually witness a launch, when you're part of a launch, when you do a launch yourself. It's very different than the way that traditional e-commerce is done. If you're more interested in that, we can always a little bit talk about that, or you can leave a comment down below if I didn't fully explain it well enough. Would love to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you did like it. Come subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.